The racing heart, the stupid grin, the way one face suddenly matters more than all the others combined. We treat falling in love as something modern, built out of songs, movies, candlelit dinners, and dating apps. But strip every bit of that away. Go back 40,000 years into the cold and the firelight. Did they feel it too? For hundreds of thousands of years, before there was a single love song, before there was even a word for romance, humans were pairing up, choosing each other, and, the evidence suggests, falling hard. So the real question was never whether ancient humans had relationships. It's whether what they felt was love, or just survival wearing love's face. And the answer is written in three places: in the chemistry of your own brain, in the oldest jewelry ever made, and in two skeletons still holding hands across 6,000 years. Start with the one thing that has not changed at all: the human brain. In a landmark series of studies, the anthropologist Helen Fisher slid people who were madly, helplessly in love into a brain scanner and watched romantic love light up the dopamine reward system deep in the brain, the very same circuitry that drives our most powerful cravings. Love, it turns out, isn't really an emotion at all. It's a drive. And underneath it sit two more chemicals, oxytocin and vasopressin, the molecules of bonding and attachment. We know exactly how powerful they are because of a small, unremarkable rodent, the prairie vole. Researchers like Larry Young showed that these two chemicals are the reason prairie voles form faithful, lifelong pairs, and that if you block them, the bond simply dissolves. This machinery is old. It evolved over millions of years, long before language, for one purpose: to make two humans want to stay close to each other. Which means an ancient human looking across a fire at one particular face felt the very same chemical storm you feel scrolling past a photo. The feeling is older than the first word ever spoken. And there is a deep reason this machinery exists at all. Human babies are born helpless, with enormous brains that take years and years to finish growing. A mother alone, in the ancient world, could barely carry one survivor through that time. But a bonded pair, two people who stayed, who provided, who guarded the children together, could raise child after child through the long, dangerous years. Anthropologists argue that this is the engine behind all of it. Love, attachment, the pull to stay, evolved because the children of parents who bonded were far more likely to live. Which means that overwhelming pull you feel toward one person isn't a weakness or a modern indulgence. It may be the single most successful survival strategy our fragile, big-brained species ever stumbled into. And they did something with that feeling. They decorated themselves. Some of the oldest objects human beings ever made weren't tools or weapons. They were beads. At Blombos Cave on the coast of South Africa, the archaeologist Christopher Henshelwood found tiny shells, pierced and strung, roughly 75,000 years old. At other sites, in caves like Skull, shell ornaments push back past 100,000 years. This is jewelry, the urge to be beautiful for someone, and to craft something beautiful to give to them. You do not drill a careful hole through a tiny seashell and wear it against your skin for survival. You do it to be seen, to be noticed, to be chosen. The first piece of jewelry on earth may also be the first love letter ever written, in shells instead of words. Then there are the graves. All over the world, archaeologists have uncovered ancient couples buried together, two bodies laid side by side, some facing each other, some with arms still wrapped in an embrace, holding on through thousands of years of darkness and soil. In northern Italy, a pair the world now calls the lovers of Valdaro were found locked in exactly that embrace, foreheads nearly touching, roughly 6,000 years old. Whoever buried them knew. They understood that these two belonged together, and they arranged the bodies gently, deliberately, so that even death would not pull them apart. You can stand over two skeletons holding hands across 6,000 years of silence, and you cannot honestly walk away still believing that love is a modern invention. And the lovers of Valdaro are not alone. In graves scattered across the ancient world, archaeologists keep uncovering the same impossible image. Two people buried face to face, arms entwined, arranged by the living to stay together forever. But love left darker fingerprints too. Those same ancient skeletons sometimes carry the marks of jealousy and heartbreak, healed wounds from fights, the universal and painful evidence that where there is love, there is also the terror of losing it. They didn't just feel the warmth of it, they felt the entire storm, the longing, the jealousy, the grief, exactly as we do. But maybe, you might think, they were simply thrown together by survival, paired off for warmth and children, with no say in it at all. Here, living people give us the answer. Anthropologists, who study modern hunter-gatherers, whose lives are our closest window onto the deep past, find that people are anything but passive about who they love. Frank Marlowe, who spent years living with the Hadza of Tanzania, documented that most marriages there are built on attraction and affection, not arrangement. People talk openly about beauty. They prize kindness, humor, intelligence, a good hunter, a strong character. Couples flirt and fall for each other and fight and separate and find their way back. They marry for love, and they divorce for the lack of it. If that is true for them, it was almost certainly true for the humans sitting by that ancient fire. Now picture the moment itself. There's no phone to hide behind, no words maybe, for the thing rising in the chest. Just two people at the edge of the firelight, the rest of the camp asleep, the night vast and cold and full of dangers around them, a shoulder leaning in, a hand that stays a second too long, the terrifying, wonderful risk of letting another person see that they matter to you. Everything we now wrap in centuries of poetry and song, they had to do completely raw, with nothing but a look and the courage to hold it. So no, we did not invent love. We inherited it. Every wedding, every song, every nervous first text is just the latest version of something that was already ancient when the cave paintings were still wet on the walls. We added the words, the rings, the apps, the dinner reservations. But the feeling itself, that helpless pull toward one face in the firelight, was handed to us, unbroken, across 100,000 years. So the next time your heart does that ridiculous, undignified flip over someone, don't be embarrassed by it. You are feeling the single oldest emotion our species carries, the same spark that kept two people close beside a dying fire long before there was a word for it or a world to share it with. They felt it too, and because they did, so can you. And hey, I see you there. If there's a question your heart keeps circling back to, drop it in the comments. We build our next discovery from the best of them. Because to love someone that deeply is also to face the one thing love can't survive, losing them. And when the people they loved died, ancient humans refused to believe it was the end. What did they believe was waiting on the other side? That's the next one.